Hello and welcome back to the Coralogix DataPrime Academy course. We've mastered filtering and data selection. Now we're unlocking DataPrime's analytical powers with grouping and aggregation. So today we're learning to transform millions of individual log entries into meaningful insights, counting events, calculating averages, analyzing trends over time, building the foundation for dashboards. Think about this as learning to ask analytical questions of your data, not just show me the logs, but tell me what the patterns mean. So we're moving into this creative observability stage. So let's begin with some core aggregation functions. I want to use count to show how many events. So as we know, we want to filter by our subsystem name, that hierarchy of our query. So let's use table $L for label, and let's look at our payment service. Let's use the any kind of aggregation. It needs the aggregation function. Count. Let's give that a name, key value name. Let's give it total events. Okay, so in the last 4 hours, we have over 100,000 events on our payment service. We can use sum, and that will give us the total. So let's just keep aggregate there. Let's just put in sum. Let's say I want to see the total amount being spent. So for that will be some data, $D, and let's go with amount. Pay transaction amount is there. Autocomplete help me. And that's going to be a type of number. So semicolon, num, close brackets. I want to save that as total revenue. Let's run that. Okay, so there we have our total revenue. Now, for this, we probably want to use some sort of data enrichment here. We don't know whether that's pounds or dollars. We don't know the exchange rate. With some data enrichment, we can do that. We'll look at that in a future module. Now, let's look at average. Now, for this, I want to look at our total response time on our front end, for example. Now, I don't know what the key value is for this, so for our response time, but we can go explore our data. Don't want to hit that value. We want to use limit, as we know, so that will limit our results to 10, so we can explore our log. Okay, now we've got a lot of nested text in here. I'm looking at something to do with response time. There we have HT response took, so in milliseconds, so we can use that for our average function. So let's go aggregate, and let's go average. Let's go $D, HTTP response time. There we have it in milliseconds. And let's just set that as a number, as data type, and as average latency. And there we go. Last 4 hours, we have our average latency of 44 milliseconds. Okay, so that's some core aggregations. Let's look at some statistical functions. And we can use min and max for range analysis. So sticking on the front end, keep aggregation there. We can go new line. Let's go min. And let's find out our minimum response time. So $D, HTTP response. There we go. Set that as a number. As fastest, comma for a new line, and let's go max. And we can just, you know what, for simpleness, we can just copy and paste this. Max, we want to set that as slowest. And finally, let's look at our average. Set that as so now we can see our slowest, fastest time, and average time took on our front end service. We can also use percentiles for understanding distribution of our logs. So here I've pasted this in. We're grabbing the percentiles. 50% of users are seeing in terms of their latency, 95%, 99%. Very powerful for performance analysis. Can often be more meaningful than averages. So that's some aggregation there. Let's look at some group by functions. So this is where our insights can really start to emerge. I'm going to change this up. Let's change to our front end, or no, sorry, our payment service. Okay, and now we want to use new function group by. So say I want to understand our error distribution. Let's look for $M, which we know will give us our severity of our logs. And let's just get the aggregation count of that. Let's go. So, and let's set that as event count. So now we can see the amount of errors on our logs, debug info and error logs there. So let's take us a step further, multi-field grouping. So I've done one by severity. Let's also look at what there is in terms of our transactions, our payment methods. So let's add a comma after severity. And let's look at $D for data. Let's see the payment transaction type. Let's grab aggregate of that. Let's take this on to a new line. And let's use the count function. That's going to be our transactions value, comma. Let's get the sum of those. And $D, payment amount, pay transaction amount, and let's get that. That's a number. Sorry, yes, I lost myself there. Number, and we want to display that as the total amount. So look, we can now see MasterCard, amount of transactions, and Visa card, the amount of transactions and what severity of the log. Very, very powerful. Okay, lastly, I want to show off time-based grouping. So that transforms timestamps into time periods. So this is how we can really build some trend analysis and time series dashboards. Okay, so for this, we'll keep our group by. We want to change over to our front end. So still got the group by there. I want to look at the metadata for a timestamp. And then we want to use .roundTime. Now we can choose our bucket. I want that to be of an hour. And let's set that to be the key value of hour. And let's take this to a new line and aggregate. I want to get the count. And we want to save that as requests per hour. New comma. Let's look at the average then. So we want to get the average how long the request took. So HTTP response time took. Let's set that as a number value, and let's save that as average latency. Okay, and lastly, we want to do order by our ascending. Fantastic. Let's run this. So now we're seeing a breakdown. So what this is doing, I'll explain what roundtime is doing. It's taking individual timestamps, like say 1400 hours and 1430, and groups them into the same bucket. So all events in that hour get aggregated together. So instead of millions of individual timestamps, you're getting 24-hour hourly clean summaries. They're perfect for charts or dashboards and trend analysis. Now you can choose your time analysis based on your own needs, and that's all done with that round time. Just change the bucket time. You can change it to 15-minute intervals, whatever your needs are. So that's us for this module. We're mastering DataPrime analytics, and we're now thinking like data analysts. In our next module, we'll be looking at exploring extraction and transformation, so turning messy log meshes into clean, structured data that we can analyze.